Hey guys, David Lim, board certified dermatologist. In today's video, I'll hone right down and figure out the algorithm for you as to how to use or how to employ lasers versus radiofrequency microneedling in the treatment of acne scars. Guys, if you're interested in just normal microneedling, click up on the banner up here and that can tell you about how we use microneedling versus lasers for acne scars. Today's video is the use of energy-based radiofrequency microneedling, which is very different from microneedling. Let's take a step back. Microneedling basically uses needles, which are various depths, anywhere between 0.25 mils up to around 3 to 3.5 mils. They can be cold needles, and cold needles include things like your Dermapen, your Dermastamper, or your old-fashioned derma roller. That we're not going to talk about. We're going to talk about energy-based devices. Energy-based devices has your needles, but the needles can either be insulated or non-insulated or partially insulated. And this is fit onto a device, and the device delivers usually bipolar, but it also can deliver monopolar radiofrequency. So how is this different compared to microneedling? Microneedling, like I said, is cold, right? So it does not use heat. Radiofrequency microneedling, however, uses heat. And what does heat do? Heat basically is generated with radiofrequency. Radiofrequency is a form of energy, and with the oscillation that creates resistance. Resistance creates heat. Heat denatures collagen, and it also stimulates what's known as HSP. So the heat shock protein 70, 72, etc. These HSPs, or heat shock proteins, are much more efficient at remodeling acne scars and many times more efficient compared to cold microneedling when it comes to stimulation of collagen, a process we call neocollagenesis. So now that we've clarified the difference between the microneedling and RF microneedling, what is the algorithm? Because when you look at a lot of people, or when you look at a lot of clinics, they offer things like lasers, microneedling, radiofrequency microneedling. So guys, this video is for you to understand how dermatologists employ RFM compared to lasers. It's really quite easy. Unlike lasers, radiofrequency microneedling affects the bottom part of your skin. So it's almost inverse to what a laser does. A laser usually has got to hit the top parts of your skin. Don't worry about things like vascular lasers or non-ablative lasers at this moment in time because it can complicate things. But let's say if you're using ablative lasers like erbium or CO2. Lasers got to have a target. The target is water, which is the main chromophore of ablative lasers. And what happens is that ablates, in other words, it destroys the upper part of the skin, your stratum corneum, your epidermis, and down to the dermal layer where your scars lie. The downside about these lasers is that it causes unnecessary damage to the top part of your skin in order to get to the bottom part of your skin. So that's the disadvantage of lasers. In contrast, RFM, or radiofrequency microneedling, delivers needles which penetrate your epidermis down to the dermal layer, but delivers a pulse of energy at preset depths, deep in the dermal layer of skin. So that can be dialed in, and usually for acne scars, it's dialed in around 1.5 mils at most, but most of the scars lie between something like 0.25, 0.5 mils, all the way to 1.5 mils. So in this situation, you have your coagulation, your heat right down in the deep part of your skin, and hence the upper layers are relatively spared. Now this confers two advantages. First one, we discussed about much less downtime. So with today's RFM, or radiofrequency microneedling devices, your downtime ranges between 1 day all the way up to 3 days, depending on the actual amount of passes and the amount of heat and pulse duration that we use. So the first thing, number one, is that it decreases downtime markedly compared to ablative lasers. Number two, it is much safer for darker skin types. So darker skin types include someone like myself, where it's skin type 3, 3+ and above. So if you're of ethnic origin, whether it be African American, whether you have Hispanic, Mediterranean or Asian heritage, or Asian skin, certainly the use of RF microneedling can decrease, it doesn't eliminate, but it can decrease the amount of PIH, or post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So those are the two main advantages. The third advantage, however, is that if scars lie deeper, for example, deeper than 1.5 mils, sometimes they are out of range by most lasers, excluding super powerful lasers like, for example, the UltraPulse when you're using the ScarFX laser. Generally speaking, most lasers, including non-ablative as well as ablative CO2 erbium lasers, they usually maximize at around 1.5 mils. Even the very powerful Cyton profractional erbium laser, even when it's clocked, in other words, turned up, It usually maximizes around 1.6, 1.7 mils, even though the industry standard or the actual recommendations are 1.5 mil. So guys, those are the advantages of microneedling or radiofrequency microneedling over lasers. How do I employ these in the treatment of scars? So there are certain scar types which lend themselves to RFM, and they're usually rolling scars. So rolling scars are undulating scars, so they can be classed as low volume atrophic, medium or high volume atrophic. That's how I class them. So if you're treating rolling scars, we don't want to treat the top part of the skin, we want to treat the bottom part of the skin. So certainly they can help with those. And they're probably the treatment of choice when it comes to an energy devices when I'm revising scars over that compared to a CO2 laser or an erbium laser. Now, other scar types can be treated. For example, you can treat boxcar scarring, polymorphic scarring, or even saucer-shaped scars. Now, when you're treating boxcar scarring, the shallow boxcar scarring, in my opinion, do better with laser. But once again, if you do laser, you have the downtime associated with laser, but you also have the increased risk of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. The advantage if you're using a laser and you can round off or smooth off the edges of a boxcar scar and decrease the sharp drop-off points, you can usually get the scar within 1 to 2 sessions if you're using an ablative laser. The downside about radiofrequency microneedling is that you may need 2, 3, sometimes even 4 to 5 sessions, depending on the depth of your scar and your skin type as well. So guys, that's a summary of the scar types that are amenable to radiofrequency microneedling versus that of lasers. Certainly if you have deep scars like ice pick scars or deep pits, open pores, the algorithm totally changes, because for those, I don't usually use lasers for that. I normally perform surgery, either it's a punch excision or excision of the area, or just something really simple like TCA paint, TCA cross, or something like phenol using a paintbrush. You don't need a laser to treat ice pick scars, and contrary to belief, they're not that hard to treat. It's just persisting with the treatment and or applying specific modalities for those scars. So all in all guys, approach scar revision with precision. Identify your scar type, identify your skin type, elect a particular procedure based upon the scar signatures, and you'll get an overall good outcome. Guys, I hope you liked the video. It's a really simple one, and I hope that clarifies the difference between lasers versus radiofrequency microneedling for acne scars. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.